my way of dealing with it is through creativity.
Yeah.
My way of dealing with anxiety is through just expressing myself in that manner. And that's why I stay so busy. But I think that itself is just a mask. I
Yeah.
think me dealing with it in that sense is just a mask. I feel like we have to sit down and face it. We have to face those fears and deal with our inner childhood traumas in order to defeat anxiety. And I feel
Hi.
Peace, peace. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? It's so nice to meet you. Have
It
we
was
met before? You look familiar.
possibly. I do a lot of poetry in the city, so you've probably been to one of my events.
Yeah, or vice versa, because I do Thinking Out Loud at the Artist Block. So I host that with the mic, and I see you do some hosting too. I was just saying how we do a lot of similar work in the community as far as, getting the artists community together and serving up those platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, I'm going to be picking your brain about your organizing, you being a leader, and things of that nature, because I love to build, learn, inspire, collaborate, and share keys with people that are grounded in the community. So the first topic that I wanted to talk about was, you had a quote from Yogi Bhajan. Am I saying it right?
What quote is it?
It was a quote by Yogi Bhajan, and it was pretty much talking about evaluating people's behavior towards you. So I kind of wanted to get your perspective on that, because for me, when I evaluate people's behavior towards me, because I'm an empath, sometimes it's hard not to, take it personally. So how do you navigate with people's behavior towards you?
Gosh, that's a good question. That's actually something that I'm working on with my inner healing. I feel like a lot of the times we very much so mistakenly take things personal when it comes to people's behavior towards us. We kind of just automatically are offended. And I think that a lot of times that we're either projecting or they are reflecting, one or the two. And they could be a projection, reflection of us, or something that they're experiencing, or vice versa. And I think that it's always important to analyze someone's behavior towards you, but put yourself to the side, because there's no telling what that person has experienced, what they're experiencing, and what they're going through. I actually just recently kind of, I guess you could say, lost a friendship because of my own projections towards one of my friends. And I think that they took it very, very much so personal, but it really wasn't them. It was me, and my own healing and my own traumas that I deal with that I was projecting onto them. But obviously it was something that they felt that they really couldn't deal with, so they decided to no longer befriend me, and I have to respect that, but I see it for what it is. And I understand that, to me, what I was projecting was my own trauma and my own hurt, and it wasn't meant to personally hurt them, but they received it in that way. So I just think that it's important that we analyze behaviors from both sides of the spectrum and not take things too personal.
I agree. A lot of the times when we're dealing with someone else's behavior towards us, is in that moment. We don't have time to really think about what's happening until we go home, and we're kind of like analyzing it, like, what did I do wrong? Did I say something wrong to that person? Why were they acting like that? And so a lot of times it takes maybe another conversation to kind of break those walls down, or whatever perceptions were out there when it initially happened, where that behavior was displayed. Would you agree?
Indeed.
Yeah. I mean, when I read that quote that you posted, it just reminded me of, how I used to be a shift leader at a restaurant, right? And so I was constantly dealing with behaviors, day in and day out, different people's personalities and behaviors. And so a lot of times I couldn't really talk to them, because we're giving out, like, I'm a cashier, or I had to cook something, or I had to be here. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of the times we might not bring it back up, but I think you know, it's worth it to pull that person to the side and have a conversation about that behavior. You know what I mean? So that
Right.
it doesn't happen in the future, or figure out how to resolve whatever the problem was, so that we can get through that. So I thought that was very interesting that you posted that, evaluating people's behaviors. Yeah. The next thing I wanted to talk about was art and release. You referred to art as release a lot. I saw it in your post. And I was like, that's so true. You know, why am I getting up here and being so vulnerable with people when I perform? You know, and it's because it's a release. You know what I mean? And that's my perspective on it. But I wanted you to kind of dive in there and explain why art is a release.
I would say that art is a form of release because art is a way that we express ourselves without being judged. I feel like we're all so gifted and we're all so unique. And when we express ourselves artistically, we're releasing because we're expressing part of ourselves that other people may relate to, or may not relate to. My apologies, my connection went out. But when I say release for myself, I mean to just be free, to be unconditional in your being. And I think that a lot of the times, us as artists and creators, we are being unconditional when we express ourselves artistically. Like for me, poetry, rapping, acting, all of that really makes me feel better. And when I say release, that's what I mean. Like, be free, let go. And you should feel like a layer has been lifted off of you when you do those things. So I say that with intent when I say release. And a lot of people really and truly feels that, because when they leave Lyrical Healing, they feel a relief. You know, they feel healed. They feel that adrenaline the next day. They feel high. They feel just better about themselves. So I just say that release word with intent to just be free and to let go.
I think that that's what art is in its purest form, you know, a release. You love it when you can hear music and you can feel the pain or whatever emotion that that person was trying to put out there or emote to you. You know what I mean? And like, think about our open that we host. We might not have, there might be some people in there that are working on their talent and they're not a professional, but they come there for a release. You know, it's a platform for them to be able to release whatever's going on, you know?
Right.
And so I love that you call it that, because the platform that I have is called Thinking Out Loud. And our motto is, you come in here, you think out loud, you get whatever's off your chest unapologetically. Because being an artist, sometimes you're censored by other people, or you might be censoring yourself because you're afraid to release, as you would say, you know? So what's your perspective on that?
What's my perspective on, can you repeat?
On the unapologetic part, being able to express yourself unapologetic.
Yes. Being able to express yourself unapologetic is really a part of being self-secure. It's really a part of being like confident in yourself, and just being to that point in your life where you don't care what people think about you. You don't care what people, you know, feel about you. You are just at a level of self-sufficiency, and you're so grounded in yourself that being unapologetic with everything that you say. And I myself, I relate to that, because when I host and when I perform, I can say that I'm passively aggressive, because my presence just speaks volumes, and I just demand respect and love and attention and gratitude, and it all flows that way because I'm being unapologetically me. There's even been times where I've been performing, or I've came to a show and I'm dressed a different way. You know, sometimes I dress dominantly and sometimes I dress femininely, and I feel like that's me being unapologetically me, and it opens a safe environment for everybody around me to accept that, and they really like take that part of me with open arms, and it's a beautiful thing, which is crazy, because I feel like ultimately I still deal with my own self-esteem issues, but the projection that I put out amongst others is a very strong unapologetic energy. So yeah, that's my viewpoint on it.
You hit it right on the nail, you know, because I built my organization, Thinking Out Loud, because when I first started doing music, I knew I wanted to do it, but once I got on stage, I was like, wait a minute, I have to do this in front of people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I really realized and learned how shy I was to do that. And so open mics were very important for me for my growth, because even though I wasn't the best when I first started, but me continuously getting on stage in front of people really helped with my nerves. You know what I mean? And so what you and I do as far as hosting these open mics are so important for people on the come up and are trying to really flourish in their craft. You know what I mean? So you hit it right on the nail. Like it's something about getting on that stage that brings out that confidence and courage inside of you, and being able to express yourself, or like, as you would say, dress how you want to dress. That's an extension of your creativity and your expression, you know? So let's talk about, let's talk about a day in a life. A day in the life for Portia the Poet, because you're a photographer, a CEO, a hoe, a lyricist, director, an actor. Like, how do you manage all of this? Like, give me a day where you're just out here grinding, like from start to finish. What does that look like?
Man, a day where I'm out here grinding from start to finish, making products. I just started a new venture, making tea blends. So I make my blends, I make my shea butters, all the while I'm posting always on Instagram, promoting myself, and that's how I really connect with a lot of people on social media, and that's how I really am able to market my products and myself at the same time. I'm always just thinking of new ways to be creative, doing music with Art Gang. Their Instagram page is Art Gang Live. We're all a group of creators, so we're all always busy individually and collectively. So with my poetry, to be honest, I'm working on a short film right now with my partner. So that's always in the work. It's called A Poetic Type of Love. So that's pretty exciting to be able to do that, and also still host the show. And just as of recently, I've been taking on opportunities to host other shows, like for other people who have their own platforms. You know, so now I'm diving into being a MC for other people and their platform, just bringing in a different type of energy, because I understand that I can't host that show like I host Lyrical Healing. You know, I have to bring in the energy that they want me to bring in. I definitely struggle with balance, I would say. I definitely feel like I put a lot of energy in my creativity and not enough into my spiritual growth at times. I'll definitely say that my creativity is what thrives me spiritually, though. It's just finding a balance within it. And I feel like in order for me to do that, I just need to sit down sometimes. Really and truly, I'm always on this phone doing something, you know. I'm also trying to get some sweaters and stuff made for Lyrical Healing. It's just so much. And this whole brand has really been the episode of my healing. I'm hoping that, you know, I can stop being so hard-headed and sit down for a day and just focus on just me, you know, and put my phone down and not worry about anything. What'd you say?
I was going to say that sometimes it's hard to do that. Sometimes it's hard to sit down, because I definitely feel that, because I'm doing a million things at one time too, and I have a full-time job as well. Do you have a full-time job?
I do have a full-time job.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, what's your relationships like with your friends, you being so busy?
My relationships with my friends are pretty much creative. When we're linking and when we're connecting, we're creating. I don't have platonic friendships. I don't have friendships where we just talk on the phone about nothing, you know. And I feel like sometimes those are needed, but I have a hard time building those type of friendships. Now that you ask that, and you know what? Sometimes it bothers me, because I feel like, goodness, why are all of my relationships creative and business wise? Why can't I build a solid relationship with people that have nothing to do with creativity, that have nothing to do with art, with music? I don't know. It's just like, I don't mesh, you know. It's hard for me to even allow my energy to be gifted to people on that level of platonic friendships, because I don't know, to me it's a little bit boring. You know, I want to be talking about something. I want to be getting deep spiritually or creatively. My apologies, I'm on my back porch.
I mean,
But
I definitely feel that, because for me, I love those type of conversations where we're talking about building something or doing something creative. Or I'm sorry, my thing just cut out, but yeah, and I'm also a business major too, so I love talking about those type of things as well. But I asked you that because I've kind of, did some reflecting. I was like, what kind of friend am I? Um, when I'm not working or doing a million things, you know what I mean? Like, what does my relationships look like? And so
right.
it's something that I brought to the forefront of my consciousness, and hopefully to work on, also making that a part of my balance as well when I'm thinking about all the million things
Hmm.
that I'm doing. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm glad that we kind of landed there on that topic, because that's something that I've been reflecting on as well. So let's see. Quarantine and creativity. Quarantine and creativity. For me, I'm looking at these four walls every day. I don't know about you. I'm not going too far out or getting much sunlight during this quarantine. So how have you been able to use this quarantine and be creative still?
This quarantine has been able to open up other doors of creativity for me. Um, and which is crazy because I feel like the world itself and my spectrum and the people that I'm surrounded by, everybody has really tapped in. A lot of people have been stressed out during quarantine, but the people that I'm around and the energy that I reflect, everybody's been tapping into new ventures and new avenues. And even with me working a 9 to 5, I've still been able to still create. I've still been able to start new things, like I said, with the tea blends and things like that. I even started making candles. Those didn't turn out that well, but I tried. Um, I just think that this quarantine was really a huge opportunity for everybody to sit down, press pause, tap in, meditate, be to yourself, or get more creative. A lot of people started their own businesses. I've been, encouraging people to do that as well. This quarantine is like, it's been non-existent to me too, because I've still been going out. I've still been going to shows. I've still been hosting
I
shows.
saw that. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, where is she at?
Yeah.
Everything for us pretty much got shut down at the artist block, but wow, you're still out there doing shows. And what's that like with the social distancing and
Crazy. I had a show weekend before last, 100 people out there.
really?
In a neighborhood.
Oh wow.
Wow, where did all of you guys come from? Yes, let's keep building. Let's keep doing that. And everybody around was, so I had the show, but I also had 3 vendors. I had 2 food vendors and 2 spiritual vendors. Everybody made profit. Like,
Wow.
it was so much currency and energy of love and abundance circulating in the spectrum that I'm in. It was crazy. This quarantine has not stopped that frequency at all.
That's
Like, yeah.
I'm so happy for you that you're
Thank
still
you. Thank you.
able to get the community together. That was thinking outside the box, doing it outside in the yard. That's
Yeah.
definitely outside.
Nature, beautiful vibes.
Absolutely. I gotta come check out one of your open mics and maybe I'll perform.
Yeah. Have to.
Yes, let me read some of these comments. So Mike says, great question, Bliss. Awesome answer. I think that was when we were talking about balancing friendships and working. And let's see. I can't read that one. You might know who that person is who left that other comment. One of the one of the biggest hustlers I know.
Oh yeah. What's up, Merch son?
Yeah.
That's my bro. He's an artist too. He's actually like on a brink of like a huge come up right now in the community. With his artistry, a lot of people are actually tapping into his music. He speaks about just rap and things like that, and he also has visuals that go with it. And his spiritual enlightenment has like blossomed with his whole movement, and it's just crazy right now. If you could check out his page, he would be a great artist to come to the show.
Absolutely. We definitely got to get his information. so
Hold on.
T can put us on. We love talking to the hustlers, the grinders out here in the community. So we talked about
Yeah.
evaluating people's behavior. We talked about art and release. We talked about your day in the life, and we talked about quarantine and creativity. The next thing I want to talk about is anxiety, because I saw you post a video and you were like, it was kind of like a monologue that you were doing. Come back. Where'd she go?
I'm back.
I'm glad you're back, because that was really awkward. I had to like wrap up the show.
My apologies. My phone died. I had no idea that my phone needed to be charged.
Oh, wow. That's why I figured it happened, that your phone probably died, but it's all good. Thanks for coming back. So like I was saying, I saw that you had posted like this short video about anxiety. It looked like maybe something that you were acting in.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how, there was this weird energy that I was feeling when I was younger, but I didn't know what it was. And I didn't even know that was what was going on, like my anxiety acting up. And so I wanted to hear maybe your experiences with anxiety, especially being so active in the community.
Anxiety. Anxiety is a fear. Anxiety starts as a fear of the unknown, or anxiety may be an ultimate fear of the inevitable. And I think that we form anxiety through trauma. And I know for a fact that my anxiety was formed through trauma, which started as a child. And as I grew older, I started to identify with it through depression, because the depression and anxiety go hand in hand. Feeling hopeless, feeling alone, feeling confused, feeling fearful, feeling tense. Those are all aspects of our mind and our nervous system. And I think that with anxiety, let's talk about the skit. So the anxiety skit, I did direct the anxiety skit along with two other artists here in Charlotte. Baby Stacey, a part of Art Gang. She was the videographer, and Novocaine, the artist. She's actually a poet and a model and an actor here in the city as well. And we linked up and created that, and it was crazy. Even filming it, we were anxious. And I came up with the idea to make it spooky, because anxiety is so scary, because it comes in different forms and it happens out of nowhere. Like, you can be chilling, you can be good, and out of nowhere you'll feel anxious, or you'll start to think about something negative, and it'll start to create those negative thoughts. That's all I hear. I think that I still battle with that today so much, because I have not healed my root. And I feel like anxiety stems from root trauma. Okay, so when you heal your root, you get to the root of why you're dealing with any inner issues, and that is childhood things. So let's go back to when you were a child. When was that first time you felt traumatized? Your body remembers that, because anytime you're traumatized, you react that same way. So, man, dealing with anxiety is a daily battle, I would say, for myself. Absolutely. I would say for myself. And I can even be like, no, not today. And it'll be like, yes, today. And I'll be like, no, not today. And it'll be like, yes, today. And, my way of dealing with it is through creativity. My way of dealing with anxiety is through just expressing myself in that manner. And that's why I stay so busy. But I think that itself is just a mask. I think me dealing with it in that sense is just a mask. I feel like we have to sit down and face it. We have to face those fears and deal with our inner childhood traumas in order to defeat anxiety. And I feel like it may be something we never, ever really defeat, because ultimately there is an inevitable, And even though the inevitable, to me, I've made peace with knowing that there is life after death, because I understand that death does not exist. But even still, I'm still fearful of the inevitable. I'm still fearful of how it may happen, when it may happen, who I'm leaving behind, these connections that we build here in this realm. It's crazy, the things that we deal with. And sometimes I get to this mindset where I'm just like, hey, I'm going to think about it, but I ain't. I'm going to worry about it, but I ain't. I'm going to just worry about right here and right now. Because the more I think about tomorrow or the inevitable, I'm taking away from right here and right now. And that's what matters most.
I see someone posted that the more you grow, it'll be a new level of it.
Yeah.
You learn to quit being defeated by it. Ooh,
Yes.
I like that.
Receive that, Mert. Appreciate that, King.
I like that. I wanted to share with you, when I did my very first Bliss Talk with T. Walker. He was my very first guest on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought up anxiety. And when I brought it up, I was anxious because it was my very first time, like in a setting where of my peers, where I admitted that I had that issue. Does that make sense? And then you're so like, you don't want to show fear because that makes you very, very vulnerable. So what is your thoughts about being open about your anxiety?
I think that the more we embrace it, the more it makes it a little bit easier to deal with, because the more you embrace it, you understand that everybody around you is dealing with it. Everybody around you is in some shape or form have experienced anxiety or does experience anxiety. And a lot of people don't even know they have anxiety. A lot of people don't know when you're tapping your leg and your foot and being impatient, pulling in your hair. I pull in my locks. It's anxiety. It gives me comfort. It's comforting. A lot of our tics are comforting, but it's an anxious tic. And I think that being vulnerable about it makes it more easier for everybody to come together to find a common ground of understanding it more and dealing with it more, other than trying to mask it or trying to act like it's not there, because regardless of anything, it's there. We can't disassociate from it, because the more you disassociate from it, the more you'll be disconnected. Absolutely. You know? So I think,
I said, I agree, because although I had anxious right before I said that I had anxiety, because I think what gave me anxiety about admitting my anxiety was that I didn't want to be labeled in any type of way because I have anxiety issues. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I think that instead of me thinking of it, me being labeled as someone who suffers from anxiety, I can be labeled as a person that not suffers from it, but has it, but is learning how to manage it. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. Yo Nilo says a lot of our trauma comes from the way our parents raised us. They were raised with fear, being told the white man is a superior, and create generational curses. Gotta reconnect with the earth.
I agree.
And eat natural food, take care of the mind. Right. I agree. Definitely agree that a lot of this anxiety does come from generational curses. And it's because the things that we are dealing with in this generation is way different from the issues that they had from that generation. Like, for example, if I was to go to an elder about something that's really bothering me, they'll look at me like, girl, that's bothering you? You didn't have to do X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So they compare it to their issues. And so we never really get healing because our issue is being compared to somebody else's issue. You know what I mean? Even though it's right. Really not even comparable, And then right. Also maybe our situations are so different in a way where our elders feel like they can't really relate, and so they don't know how to comfort us or tell us or counsel us on how to maneuver through this issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was such a I felt like that was a release talking about anxiety with you. I appreciate you. And the very last thing that I want to talk to you about on Bliss Talk is any keys and concepts that you want to share with our listeners tonight that you kind of picked up on along the way of your journey of being this, CEO, a brand, and a creative.
I would say to not give up on yourself, to not doubt yourself, to think of yourself highly than you see yourself. Because when you think, you see. When you see, it is so. I would say look in the mirror every day and speak life into yourself. I would say set goals, set daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals. I would say to don't spend a lot of time stressing about the inevitable. Don't spend a lot of time stressing about what you don't have, but just being grateful and practice showing gratitude. Because the more you show gratitude, the more you will receive. The more seeds you plant and actually water, they will grow.
Mm.
Water your seeds, water your garden, physically and mentally, because there's going to be a food shortage. Keep your seeds, plant them, learn how to survive on natural things. Because, like homie said, a lot of our anxieties are caused by what we are eating. It's in our food. They break us down by what we eat and what we consume. And I think that dopamine that is created when we eat things, that dopamine that is created when we pick up our phone, that dopamine that is created when we exchange sexually, all of those things are distractions and programming to help deteriorate us on a cellular level, on a spiritual level, and on a physical level. And I think that if we are aware of the programming that's done to destroy us, we'll know how to reprogram ourselves to be better, to think better, and to do better, so that we can be happy, so that we can be free and creative and unconditional in our being. So I just say, let's just love ourselves better.
Yes. And Mila says, I think a lot of us should study astrology and numerology, see what our purpose on earth.
Definitely got to get aligned.
Yeah. I like astrology. I do. I often look up my horoscopes and things of that nature. I haven't really dug into the numerology yet. So have you?
Yeah, it's all connected. Numerology, astrology, chemistry, biology, all of it's connected. All of the religions and things like that go by it. It's just coded. You know, the Bible is astrology.
Yeah.
You know? It's just coded, you know. But yeah.
Yeah. This has been so great.
It has been amazing. I kind of want to interview you.
Oh man, let's do it. I'm with it. We both did an exchange and sharing our experiences, and this was just awesome. Conversations like that are definitely but we are going to wrap up the Bliss Talk. If anybody while they're typing, can you let us know where we can support you?
It paused for a second.
I was saying while they're typing in their question for you, if anyone has a question for you, they can type it in there. And while they're typing, will you let us know where we can support you on all your platforms?
Yeah, sure. Instagram mostly Portia the Poet, Porsha the Poet, and Lyrical Healing the Brand is my brand page where I do photography, where I make natural healing products, and where I also post a lot of my performances and my shows. I actually have an event that's a collab with Free Mind Customs and The Corner here in Charlotte, North Carolina on Saturday, October the 10th. It's going to be Lyrical Healing the Brand, which is my open mic show, and a body paint night. It's going to be at an upstairs downstairs venue. We are going to be lit creatively. All good vibes, always good vibes. It's $10 entry fee. Social distancing will be practiced, and I also have another collab event coming up on the 24th, and I have a really huge event coming up on November the 7th that I have not yet spoke about or released, so you guys stay on the lookout for that. I'm always doing creative things, music, poetry, art, photography. If you guys want to connect, any experiences or poetry or anything like that you want to share, I'm open for that as well. I am very busy, so sometimes balancing my times and creating bonds and friendships are hard for me. Like we spoke about, it personal. I'm just really on this journey trying to find a way and make it through.
Let's see. I don't see any questions, but we have a few comments.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank everybody who tuned in.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys sitting through with the Bliss Talk tonight. And I'm trying to read the comments. It says our bodies are
That's what.
oh, appreciate your commentary, because that's a fact. That's why we need more vegetables in our. Make sure you're putting those vegetables, because those are, plants. Plants are still alive when you eat them. So I agree with that. I can see that concept. I think that was it. We did it. We finished Bliss Talk. Thanks, Portia. Let's stay in touch.
We sure will.
Yes, I gotta
What'd
pop
you say?
up at your events. I said I gotta pop up at one of your events, and you guys remember you can follow me Bliss_Pics if you want to see more inspiring 30-minute conversations. Y'all have a good weekend.